All right, everybody, we're back at it. Ready to go again. We are joined by Carl Edwards, who is the points leader currently in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. A so-so practice you said you had.
Yeah, it was okay. We spent the whole practice in race trim. We will focus on qualifying trim next practice, but this has not been our best racetrack, so we came here with a bunch of different things to try, and we've gone through a few of them, and I think we have a fairly decent race. It's not a rocket ship just yet, but we've got some things we can work on, and after this we'll go back to Bob and we can talk a little bit about it, and hopefully we can come up with something that's good for the long run in the race.
Sounds good. Let's go straight to questions for Carl. Please raise your hand. I see one in the back, and then we'll go to Claire next, and then I see Tom and Nate. So we'll start in the back and work our way up to the front. Please state your name and affiliation. Thank you.
Damian Sortle at Danville Register and B. Carl, when do you feel like it's a good time in the season to start paying attention to the point standings, considering you're leading now, and the fact that Jimmy's won the past 5 years, and early in the season he just isn't up there until when we get to chase time?
I think as competitive as things are right now, you got to pay a little bit of attention to the points. At this point in the season, because you don't want to get yourself in a hole to where you're playing catch up the whole time. We'd like to get another win or two before this chase so that we feel like we're locked in, even if something goes bad in the points. But yeah, it's really early still to be able to say even who's going to be in the chase field. I think that anything can happen with the points. We're leading now, but there are a lot of races to go, and a lot can happen, especially with the point system now. You can lose so many points having a couple bad weeks that I don't think anybody's safe.
Go Claire and then Tom.
Claire Beeline, Sirius NASCAR Radio. Carl, can you talk about when you first came to Martinsville, if you can remember? And although it seems it's a difficult track, but it seems like not such a difficult track, but it is. And you first came, what it was like when you first came here, and what you've learned to the point that you're here now. How different is that?
Yeah, the first time I came here was in the truck series. I drove down to the end of the straightaway and thought, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to turn this corner with this this 3,400-pound stock car. I mean, it's a very, very tight racetrack. It is a half mile, and where I grew up, a half mile is a pretty big racetrack, but it feels so small in these cars. And you would think that would make it simple, but it actually makes it much more difficult because you have less time through the corner to determine what the car is doing and to communicate it with your crew chief. So the center of the corner is very, very short duration here. So you don't have a lot of time to sit there and analyze what the car is doing. You have to be able to pick very small things up. And then it's just, it's door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper for 500 laps. So it's a mentally challenging race just to keep your cool,
You got it figured out now?
No, I don't have it figured out. I watch everybody. When I'm out there driving around, I watch every car. I try to watch what's going on in the garage. I still feel like there are a lot of things I can pick up to be faster here. It's a track that, there have been times where I thought, oh, I've got this, and those times are gone. I'm looking for that again right now, so hopefully I can figure it out.
We'll go Tom, and then Harlan. I'll get Nate up front. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Carl. Tom Jensen, Speed.com. By your own admission, this is a place where you struggle to get around.
Right.
But it's one of Denny's best tracks, one of Jimmy's best tracks, and a really good place for Harvick as well. When you start putting together your plan for the 2011 season, did you circle this track at a place you need to step up? And as such, is there a little bit more pressure on you now for early in the season than normally would be?
Yeah, there's always pressure here, and there are some guys that run very well here. I think there are some teams that run very well here. I think it's not just, it's not that me or my teammates can't. I think team-wide we still have yet to figure out whatever the secret is that we're missing to get around this place. So there is a little bit of pressure because of that, but it's also, I don't come here with huge expectations, so I can only be pleased. If we go out here and challenge for the win at this race, I will be the happiest guy in the joint. It'll be great. And other than that, we'll just dig hard and hopefully we can come up with something good. But it's kind of one of those tracks I do circle it and think, man, that's going to be a tough one. I hope we figured something out.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Carl, I've heard you go kind of back and forth on momentum in motor racing, and I know that last year Denny came here 19th in points. He wins the race, and then he runs off Texas Darlington and climbs way up. And I know that your team's kind of on a roll lately since your 2 wins to end last season. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you believe in that? If Denny wins here Sunday, which he certainly needs a win, does that turn things around?
I haven't been paying much attention to the 11 cars and Denny's season. I haven't seen exactly what's put them in the hole that they're in, but they're a great team. I mean, they're a championship caliber team. If they had Homestead to do over again, I would bet that they would win the championship just as many times as they would lose it. So I don't count them out of anything. I mean, they could win here, they could win at Texas, they could win at Darlington, but I know personally for our team, I'm really looking forward to Texas. I'm really looking forward to Talladega. I'm looking forward to Darlington because I feel like those are our strongest points right now. So, but yeah, I guess the bigger question you're asking is, can things change? And yes, they sure can. I mean, a guy like Denny could sure put something together. Man, yeah, he asked if it changed after Phoenix. Do we have a different vibe? It did, but there's a cause and effect, and usually the vibe comes from running well. You know what I mean? And it's not like you can just all of a sudden say, okay, we're all going to be positive and we're going to win. I mean, you have to be fast, and when you're fast, it all just works. Everything works out, and that's what's been going on at our team. And the trick for us is just to keep that going.
Right there beside you, Harlan. Then we'll go Utter and Kenny Bruce.
Carl, Kenny Beck with WXI. New point system this year, and the fact that you just talked about one bad race can really, really hurt you. Right. Does that change your preparation for this, given that this is a track where you historically haven't had a whole lot of success? Is this more about let's survive, let's not take any chances, or do you play this just as aggressively as you would have with last year's old point system?
I think that's a really good point. I think you are I know, here's an example. In practice, I just missed a shift and over-revved the engine a little bit. We're going to look at that thing, make sure that there's nothing wrong with it, because if there is, we're going to take we're going to change it, start in the back, and we're going to just go get everything we can. We can't risk having something wrong that could fail on lap 50 and finish 42nd or 43rd. The risk is so big right now, if you're to have those days, that you do. I think everyone has to guard a little bit more against that kind of stuff. So it does change your mentality just a little. Oh, yeah, the last 2 or 3 races, I think there will be guys being more cautious to not finish terribly than you've seen in under the old point system. I mean, it would just be the smart thing to do.
We'll go Utter, and then, Jim, if you'll just hand the microphone to Kenny and help Harlan out when you're done. Thank you.
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Carl, I know you came away with a points lead last week, but I was just wondering, were you a little surprised, given how well you've run this season, that you weren't a little bit more in the mix for the win last week?
Yes. Last week at all of our Roush Fenway cars and the struggles that we had during the race, Matt finished, I think, did he finish 4th or 5th? I think he was 4th. He was 4th with 2 tires on that last pit stop, and we were 6th with no tires, but we didn't have that speed that those front 3 or 4 guys had. We just never had it all day. We talked a lot about that this week. I mean, that was one of the tracks we thought we'd do really well at. So that was a little bit frustrating. I think we know what we maybe missed there. So that's the only good thing. And the test now will be to go to Texas. It's another place we think we're going to do really well at. And if we can run like Vegas like we did at Vegas at Texas, I'll feel comfortable again.